Hello, this is the ghost story at the Academy. Hello, and here we go. This big red building on your left was built in 1892. Its original name was Mount St. Gertrude's Academy for Girls at the foot of the Rockies. The girls just called it Dirty Gerties. And this was an interesting plan a group of nuns had. They came to Boulder in 1892 from Dubuque, Iowa, to build a home for nuns with tuberculosis and a school for girls. What a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? So the nuns' ward was on the third floor, the girls' dorm was on the fourth floor, and school was on the bottom two floors. So you had girls, and then infectious disease, and then more girls. Tuberculosis sandwich. And there was a Sister Mary O'Connor, who was the leader of the nuns and oversaw the building of this building, but she died before it opened in 1892 from tuberculosis, of course. Well, it stayed a girls' school till 1969, then CU bought it. They used it as dance and art studios until, on Halloween night in 1980, there was a mysterious fire that started on the third floor. After that, the building was boarded up for 16 years, had a big barbed wire fence around it, none of which stopped this from being the creepy place for Boulder kids to come on Halloween night. They called it Mount St. Scaries. Now, one of the guys who went there when it was Mount St. Scaries was on our bus a couple years ago. He told me he was in middle school at the time. This was around 1990, when video cameras were first kind of out and affordable for everyone. And he and his buddies took a video camera in there, and they're walking through there, and they're shooting stuff with a video camera. And by the way, at this time, homeless people were camping in there. So these guys are walking down one of the hallways on the second floor, and they get chased by this big, creepy-looking dude comes out of one of the rooms, and he starts chasing them down the hall. And they're middle school kids, of course. They're really frightened. They're running away. They end up jumping off a second floor balcony to get away from this guy. So they go back to one of the kids' houses, and they plug the video recorder into the TV, which is what you did back then, or into the VCR. I forget how those worked. Anyways, there's no guy on the recording. There's nobody there. They're there, but this guy chasing them, not recorded. So, in 1996, the people who own this building now turned it into what it is now, which is a really, really nice senior citizens home called the Academy. But when they're doing this, a lot of the guys working on the job quit. They walk off the job in the middle of the day. The reason they quit, they'd be working, and they'd look back over their shoulder, and they'd see a nun standing there watching them work. The ghost of Sister Mary O'Connor, who's also been seen in the hallways and the walk-in freezer. Because I guess ghosts don't get cold, or they are cold. I don't know how that works. So, and she's also been seen. And now, did any of you folks, have any of you folks gone to Catholic school? Well, I'm not going to make fun of you if you did. You suffered enough. But the reason I ask, people who went to Catholic school will sometimes have an interesting reaction to that story about the nun behind the worker. Best one came from a guy sitting right up here in the front. Told me, I told that story about the nun behind the worker. The guy looks up at me, he goes, "Dude, doesn't have to be a ghost to be scary."